హైదరాబాద్లోని హోటల్ దస్పలాలో బీజేపీ నేత సత్య కుమార్ రచించిన సత్యకాలం పుస్తకావిష్కరణ కార్యక్రమం ఘనంగా జరిగింది. ఈ కార్యక్రమానికి ముఖ్య అతిథులుగా కేంద్ర మంత్రి భూపేంద్ర యాదవ్, బీజేపీ రాష్ట్ర అధ్యక్షుడు బండి సంజయ్, లోక్సత్తా అధినేత జయప్రకాష్ నారాయణ, ఎంపీ రఘురామకృష్ణరాజుతో పాటు పలు పార్టీల నేతలు హాజరయ్యారు.
ఆయన సంస్కరణాభిలాషి. సంస్కరణ అంటే పాలనలో సంస్కరణలు కావాలి, రాజ్యాంగంలో సంస్కరణలు కావాలి, వ్యక్తిలో కూడా సంస్కరణ కావాలి. మనం అవన్నీ మీ సంస్కృతి సరిపోతుందంటే కాదు, మనిషి కూడా మారాలి. అని తప్పించే వ్యక్తి ఒక తపస్సులా చేస్తున్నారు ఆయన. ఇవాళకి ఆయన సమయంలో మోస్ట్ ఆఫ్ ది టైం దీని మీద ఖర్చు పెడతారు ఆయన. లా, క్రైమ్స్, సమాజంలో మన యొక్క బాధ్యత, పౌరుల బాధ్యత, ఇలా అనేక అంశాల మీద తీవ్రంగా ఆలోచిస్తుంటారు. దాని మీద నలుగురితో డిబేట్స్ పెడుతుంటారు, జూమ్ మీటింగ్స్ కండక్ట్ చేస్తుంటారు. ఇలాంటి ఒక అపురూపమైనటువంటి అసాధారణమైనటువంటి దేశభక్తుడైన ఒక ఐఏఎస్ అధికారి డాక్టర్ జయప్రకాష్ నారాయణ్ ఇప్పుడు వారి సందేశాన్ని ఇస్తారు.
సభకి నమస్కారం. మీరంతా అనుమతిస్తే ఇంగ్లీష్లో మాట్లాడతాను. మన ముఖ్య అతిథి వచ్చారు. 22 భాషలు నా దేశం. మన మానాన్ని మనం మాట్లాడుకుని ఆయన అతిథిగా పిలిచాను, కూర్చోబెట్టి ఎందుకు పిలిచాను అనుకుంటే హైదరాబాద్ మనకు అగౌరవం. మామూలుగా తెలుగు నాట నేను తెలుగులోనే మాట్లాడడం అనేది నియమంగా పెట్టుకున్నాను ఎప్పుడు కూడా. ఎందుకంటే చిన్నప్పుడు చదువుకున్నది తెలుగు మీడియంలో అయినా, గ్రామంలో, పల్లెటూరులో, పాఠశాలలో అయినా కూడా కాలక్రమేణా ఆంగ్లం మీద మక్కువ, ఆంగ్లం అవసరం వల్ల ఇంగ్లీష్లో ఆలోచించడం అలవాటైంది. కాబట్టి నేను తెలుగులో మాట్లాడినప్పుడు అనుక్షణం ఇంగ్లీష్లో ఆలోచించి తెలుగు అనువదిస్తుంటాను. చాలామందికి ఈ రహస్యం తెలియదు. నా ఆలోచన ఇంగ్లీష్లో, అనువాదం తెలుగులో. కాబట్టి మీ అనుమతితో ఇంగ్లీష్లో మాట్లాడతాను, సరేనా? భూపేంద్రజీ, in your honor, I thought I should speak in English. Otherwise, my fear is you will not come back to Hyderabad. And Hyderabadis and Telangana people and Telugu people are extremely hospitable. We don't have chauvinism about language or something else. There's no other state which is more hospitable to the national culture, pan-Indian culture, than the Telugu land. I can assure you. I know pretty well, intimately. First, my heartiest congratulations to Satya. Wonderful job done. That your columns have been published as a book now, so that it's there for history as a record. And for those who are interested, they can actually understand the way your mind is working, your party is working, your government is working. Our government is working. Government is ours, party may be yours. What I like about Satya is the lucidity, the clarity of communication, and the ease of reading. Just now he was telling me that his family's mother tongue technically was Marathi. I did not know until today. Because 6 generations ago, their family migrated from Maharashtra. Incidentally, technically, my mother tongue is Marathi. Because I grew up in Maharashtra, the first language I learned was Marathi. Today, I did not know Telugu at that time. When I came to Andhra Pradesh for education in the village, I could not speak Telugu, or with difficulty. And you can imagine in a village what happens when the kid doesn't know Telugu well. But now I don't know a single word of Marathi. But I still have that obvious affinity and love for Western India and Maharashtra in particular. Apart from that, the second thing about what he writes is, he articulates his party's point of view and his point of view with clarity and calmness. Differences of opinion are inevitable, even in a family, even between brothers, a wife and husband. Inevitably, there will be difference of opinion. If there are 2 people with identical views on everything, one must be the slave of the other. It's not possible to have identical opinions on everything. But the way we resolve difference of opinions is the key to democratic progress. Do we abuse each other, attack each other, question each other's motives? Because you don't agree with me, I say you're not a patriot or you're a scoundrel. This is a terrible, uncivil culture which has become all too common in our country. Satya always tries to express his point of view without calling the other people names. And that is vital for our country. I congratulate you, Satya, for setting an example. And I hope that will be emulated by every party functionary. in every party. You can disagree without being disagreeable. And even when there are two diametrical opposite points of view, there are some elements where there is agreement. Mahatma Gandhi always said, if you start with the points of agreement, then see where the disagreement is, and try to accept the other person's point of view to the extent possible, then there is a middle path possible. Otherwise, Telugulo తాబట్టను కుందేటికి మూడే కాళ్ళు అన్నట్టయితే there cannot be resolution. That's not democracy, that's not civilized society. Human beings formed a society to come together, work together for common goals. It is that spirit that I see in Satya, and I hope that will pervade, and I wish you all the very best. On the dais today, you have three functionaries of the national ruling party. Our honored chief guest, the Union Minister, Shri Bhupendra Yadav ji, from Haryana, if I'm not mistaken. Rajasthan, okay. My apologies. Bandi Sanjay, our state BJP president, and of course Satya. What is remarkable in the Indian context, it should not be remarkable, it should be normal in politics. But in the Indian context, what is remarkable about this is, to the best of my knowledge, none of them have a pedigree. They are not there because of their parents or grandparents or great-grandparents. None of them is there because of a caste. I don't even know what Satya's caste is. I don't know what Sanjay's caste is, honestly. Until today, I did not know that Satya's origins were Marathi. To the best of my knowledge, they certainly don't have 100 crore rupees. Anybody in Hyderabad or Vijayawada would think it's an insult to be a politician without 100 crore rupees to be spent. And yet, whatever be your opinion, my opinion about a political party, that people who work hard, committed to their political ideology, who are disciplined, who are systematic, will rise irrespective of origins. This should happen in every single political party. That it's happening only in one major party in the country is a tragedy for India. Whether it's BJP or Congress or TDP or TRS, I believe politics is a noble endeavor. I truly believe that. We made it an ignoble endeavor in a large measure because we made our elections commerce. We know in Telangana and Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu and Karnataka, at least these four states, Bhupendraji, if you don't spend 30 to 40 crores for an assembly constituency, you are not a serious contender in 90% cases. When I first used to tell people 26 years ago about 1 crore being the cost in Andhra Pradesh, people in North India thought I was exaggerating. I'm not prone to exaggerating. By now, people know pretty well, at least those who know me, that I don't exaggerate. I simply state the truth as I see it. It is a shame. We are used to it, therefore we think it's normal. It's an absolute disgrace. If a party cannot function democratically, if a party cannot give space to every citizen who wants to be politically engaged on equal terms, if individuals cannot rise in a party by virtue of their merit and hard work, not pedigree and patronage and money, then that's no longer a political party, it's a private estate. My appeal is, you are happy because your party scores above others in this respect, but India is not safe. We need to make sure that every single party in that respect becomes like you, and even you become even better and imitate or emulate the best practices in the world. Because it's easy to be number one when everybody is a distant number two. Therefore, our standard, our bar should be the best in the world, not the second best or third best or the worst in India. Otherwise, over time, every party will have a tendency to decline, become moribund, be disconnected from the people, and create a plutocracy unrelated to the lives of ordinary people. I feel genuinely proud. Whether I like your ideas sometimes or not, doesn't matter. Whether I agree or disagree, that there is a political process in which Indians as Indians, beyond caste, region, religion, language, without immense money power, and without pedigree, and without patronage, that they can rise in the political process should be a source of great pride to all Indians, irrespective of our political persuasion. And I congratulate you for that, and I hope you will keep that up for the next 2-3 generations and lift the other parties up for the sake of India, because we require healthy and strong political competition. You may want other parties to be decimated, but we as Indians want healthy competition and strong political parties and healthy public discourse. As Nehru said once, if India wins, who loses? If India loses, who wins. Oftentimes, our love of ourselves as human beings, or our loyalty to our political party, and oftentimes a party for the time being we are associated. In many cases, honestly, God knows who is in which party. Sometimes, being indelicate and tactless, I keep asking many friends, in which party are you now? Because I really don't know. I don't follow the newspapers on a day-to-day basis. It's impossible to know who is there. But unless we recognize that if India loses, there's nobody who is going to win. There's something beyond party to which we all should subscribe. And that was the legacy of freedom struggle. That is the true meaning of nationalism, not jingoism, not idolatrous patriotism, but a sense of kinship and a sense of collective interest, common interest that transcends sectional and individual interests. And today, unfortunately, oftentimes, including in recent days, everything's about the short-term political mileage today. Let the country be damned. And I support or oppose not on the basis of merits of an issue and facts and evidence and logic, but whether I like that party or I'm loyal to that party today or not. If I'm now in Modi's party, whatever Modi does is fantastic. If I'm opposed to Modi's party in another party, whatever Modi does is terrible. There's no midway. The same thing tomorrow, some other party does it, another party comes to power, that is fantastic. You know, I know this is true in India largely. This is not civilized discourse, this is not honest discourse, this is not even a dignified discourse, this is undignified. This is slavish. This is not only undemocratic and foolish, it's actually slavish. It diminishes us as human beings. Whether Modi says, or KCR says, or Stalin says, or Jagan says, irrespective of who says, can I go into what is said? What is the evidence? What is the logic? Is it in public interest or not? Is there a better alternative? If we don't think of that, that means we as human beings do not respect ourselves. We become so slavish, so tribal in the worst sense of the term, we don't even respect ourselves and our children. If we love ourselves, if we love our families, if we love our future, after all of us, one thing that unites all Indians, Hindu, Muslim, upper caste, lower caste, rural, urban, rich, poor, north, south, there's one thing that unites all of us. We all live and die for our children. Even the most corrupt fellow, even the worst gunda and murderer, or the most noble person, we all live and die for our children. If we do not think of our children's future in examining public issues, if everything is colored by who said it, rather than what is said and why it is said, that country is a tragic country. That nation will become the poorer. And our society is already paying a very heavy price. It will pay a greater price. Do you remember 30 years ago, youngsters may not recall that. Every year, unfailingly, all the bank employees of India used to go on a national strike. Why? Opposing computerization. Why? Jobs will be lost. Every single party, and I'm ashamed to say, every single party used to support them. If they thought for a moment about India's interests, imagine what the future would be. That would never have happened. I can cite any number of examples. From telephones to 100 things. We have to love our children and our future more than we are scared of somebody or we love some leaders or some parties. We have to put the nation above the party. Today's challenge, in my humble opinion, is focused, unrelenting, uninterrupted economic growth for the next 15 or 20 years. We bungled a great deal. We chose a model which was well-meaning but utterly unwise. We paid a very heavy price, very heavy price. I'm sure the elders here would recall, that means people of my age, I'm now an elder, you would recall 30, 40 years ago, if you wanted a telephone, as I did, I remember I paid 8,000 rupees on the Own Your Telephone scheme. At that time, 8,000 rupees was the per capita income of Indian people. It was not 8,000 rupees today, it was the per capita income of Indian people. Waited for 2 years to get the telephone. I thought I was very lucky because I was in government, I had some influence, something happened, etc. And we used to pay in those days, for a trunk call for a town 30 kilometers away, or village 30 kilometers away, we used to pay about 30, at least when I joined service, when there was no STD dialing also, about 3 to 5 rupees, which was a princely sum in those days, when the dollar was about 7 rupees. A 30-kilometer trunk call for 3 minutes. If you wanted an immediate call, it was called lightning call. We paid 8 times that amount. We used to wait for evening 8 o'clock or whatever, when the price is lower, this, that, etc. Because we made terrible economic choices. We learned some lessons. We now have to ensure that those lessons are internalized, that this country marches forward irrespective of political party. Who is the chief minister, prime minister, MLA, MP? This is incidental. We are all ephemeral. We come and we go. This nation, our children's future, is eternal. We are a 5,000-year-old civilization, unique, unlike any other nation on earth. We owe it to ourselves, our legacy and our posterity, to focus on what will happen to my children, my grandchildren 20, 30 years hence. We will not live beyond 20, 30 years, many of us, at least those who are now well past into their 60s. But the future will still be there, whether we live or not. If anything undermines the economic growth project of India, it will be the gravest tragedy, because millions upon millions are suffering indignity, humiliation, want on account of poverty. 6 crore people are becoming poor in India every year. Every year, they're descending into poverty only because of lack of health care. 6 crore Indians every year. More than 1.5 lakh Indians every single day. We can easily correct that if we don't focus on what can be done with our resources, our technology. Forget the petty partisanship. Make politics a noble endeavor to transform, not to perpetually fight with the lust for power without any purpose. Then I think all of us in public space, those in politics, outside, in media, we all will be judged by history very harshly, very, very harshly. We may think no end of ourselves, but the future will not be kind to us, because truth cannot be suppressed forever. One final word. I have one grouse against your party, Bhupendraji. I must also tell you that I am not given to Sashapishal antara Telugulo. I am given to speaking straight as I see it. The hope and expectation of many, many people, particularly those of us who grew up in the emergency generation, many of us here, and my own life was shaped by emergency. If emergency did not happen, I would have been a medical doctor somewhere in this country or abroad. Our hope was that once a party which went through all that, which saw 60 years or 70 years of enormous unfulfilled potential, would work towards transformation of the political system itself. Not merely play by the existing rules, but better, and therefore succeed very well. Good, you are succeeding. But India should win much more than your party winning. If 30, 40 crores is required in at least some of the states of India, and other states are slowly following suit, if vote buying has become endemic, if short-term freebies at the cost of long-term good have become endemic in state after state in the country, you know that, I know that. What's happening? Your own state, home state, Rajasthan is a good example. Our states, the 2 Telugu states are good examples. I'm not excluding my states. Bengalis, Punjabis, state after state, at the cost of the future of the country, at the cost of what the government ought to be doing, rule of law, public order, justice, rule of law. Basic infrastructure, some efforts are being made, we appreciate that. But basic amenities, water, stormwater drainage, sewerage, quality education, there's a good policy in place, now we have to operate it, let's hope it will happen. But quality health care, without a burden on the people. Unless these are in place, unless a climate for economic growth is firmly in place, not by talk but by action, we cannot fulfill our potential. But for all this to happen, our politics must be transformed. Our electoral system must be looked at very, very deeply, not superficially. Not some slogans, but really deeply. How do you ensure, this is the last point I'm making. Pardon me, I took a little longer than expected, Sanjay Garu. Once in a while you get a little emotional, though I try and not be emotional. What are the practical purposes of politics? Forget the political theories. One, a party must provide a platform for all the concerned citizens to be engaged in the political process, as you are doing. And that's the reason why you're all here. I appreciate that. Most other parties are not doing it. You cannot join many other parties without the blessings of somebody, unless you are a palanquin bearer forever in life. Two, you must rise within the party and within the country politically through ethical and rational means, not by spending money, not by dividing people, not by offering freebies at the short term, at the cost of the long-term good. If you don't have a political climate to make it happen, you're not a well-governed country. Your democracy is very flawed. It's democracy all right, but it's very, very flawed democracy. 3, you must be able to provide alternative policies and ideas, not merely attacking each other, abusing each other, burning buses and burning trains, and blocking traffic and obstructing ordinary day-to-day lives, but providing real, viable, rational, effective alternatives. And finally, the capacity to deliver once you get the mandate. I am absolutely certain these conditions are not fulfilled today, including in Telangana, where Bandi Sanjay is working so hard. You have seen how hard your by-election was, how much money was spent. Every Telangana person knows, every AP person knows, I don't have to mention it here. If your government is not capable of changing it, or our government but your party is not capable of changing it, with the kind of public esteem that you enjoy, with the sacrifices you made for decades, then India's aspirations are not fulfilled. Then you may win, India will continue to lose in significant measure. My humble appeal is, and this is from a concerned citizen who has absolutely no axe to grind, this must be, I know how hard it is to govern. I know every day there are day-to-day issues. I'm sure the Prime Minister's plate is full. Who should be the next president? How do you manage the politics? And now kids are on warpath. How do you somehow bring them back to the peace and order or something else? So every day there are 1,000 things. Yes, these are necessary. But great leadership is about imagination of the future, about transforming institutions, altering incentives, and therefore changing outcomes. A nation does not become great by merely plodding and pushing and pulling and surviving. Economic growth is vital, but political transformation is equally vital for the long-term sustenance of democracy. Otherwise, countries like China are saying democracy is no good. Already, a near majority of Indians are saying we don't want democracy. That's not a happy sign. We owe it to ourselves. Our commitment to our country is far greater than our organizations, far greater than our political parties, far greater than a leader or somebody else. This nation deserves a fundamental change. You now have the priceless opportunity. My appeal is humbly, the Union Cabinet, your political party and other parties, bury the hatchet, focus on what not needs to be done to get the best into public life, to allow their rise, to provide alternative choices, and to deliver efficiently and swiftly so that India will not forever lament about missed opportunities, bad governance, and poverty. We deserve something better and more and quickly. Once again, I congratulate Satya for a wonderful job. Pardon me for being very straight. If people like me don't speak the truth as they see it, there's no purpose for me being here. And I think all of you will be shocked if I don't speak truth. By now, you all know what I stand for. My appeal is, you can change it. You have a priceless opportunity which nobody had for about 3 or 4 decades. Focus on the bigger picture and have your names etched in history forever. You will earn our gratitude. Irrespective of who is in power today or 20 years hence, you will have changed history. Deng Xiaoping's name can never be forgotten from human history. It transformed China. You can do that too. I wish you all the very best. Thank you.